my name is Jenny. I'm sitting at my new desk in Seattle, a city that has become my haven of peace and self-discovery. The sun filters through the window, casting a warm glow on the paperwork in front of me. It's been a while since I left Maine, but the memories, both painful and empowering, still linger. 3 weeks ago, I was in the middle of a grant reporting dashboard for my new job when my phone buzzed. It was a missed call from my father, Robert. I hadn't heard from him since I left home, and the silence had been a relief. But there it was, another call, and then a text, "Jenny, why is the bank account frozen?" I stared at the screen, and a flood of memories came rushing back. I remembered how I used to be the one they took for granted, the one who fixed their problems without a second thought. When I was laid off from my job at a small environmental tech startup in Portland, I had no choice but to move back in with my parents. I was 28 then, and I thought it would be a temporary arrangement until I found a new job. My mother, Carol, was always the more vocal one. She was a perfectionist, with high standards for everything and everyone. She greeted me with a tight-lipped smile and a list of things that needed fixing around the house. The smart thermostat was acting up, the printer was jammed, and the Wi-Fi was constantly dropping. I didn't complain. I was used to it. I set up new security protocols for their home network, installed the latest software updates, and even helped them organize their digital photo albums. My younger brother, Ryan, was 24 and worked in real estate in New York. He was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in my mother's eyes. He would come home maybe once a month, dressed in a sharp suit and carrying an expensive briefcase. My mother would light up when he walked through the door, showering him with praise and attention. Meanwhile, I was in the corner, trying to get the Wi-Fi to work again. One Sunday, my mother decided to have a family dinner. She made lasagna, Ryan's favorite, even though I had always preferred spaghetti. Ryan showed up late, as usual, looking smug and self-assured. He greeted my mother with a kiss on the cheek and tossed his keys on the table like he owned the place. During dinner, my mother started asking Ryan about his work. He talked about his latest real estate deals, throwing around terms like luxury condos and high-end investments. My mother hung on every word, nodding and smiling. I tried to stay quiet, focusing on my food and keeping my eyes on my plate. Then, out of the blue, my mother turned to me and asked, "Have you been applying to any real jobs lately?" I froze. I had told her just the day before that I had an interview lined up for a digital marketing position. I even showed her my resume, but it seemed like none of that mattered. Before I could respond, Ryan cut in. "At some point, it stops being bad luck and starts being bad choices," he said, not even looking at me. I felt a lump in my throat. I swallowed my words and my pride, and the silence that followed was thick and heavy. I carried my plate to the kitchen and ate the rest of my dinner alone, listening to their laughter and conversation. I could hear snippets like "needs to grow up" and "can't coddle her forever." It was like a knife in my heart, but I didn't let them see me cry. The next morning, I was in the living room, working on a freelance website project for a local coffee shop. I had just finished uploading the new menu when I heard my mother's footsteps. She walked into the room, her arms crossed, looking like a fortress. "I need to talk to you," she said, her voice cold and stern. I looked up, my heart sinking. "You need to start paying rent," she said. I had heard this before, but this time it was different. She wasn't just making a passing comment. She was serious. "I will," I said, trying to stay calm. "Once this job is done, I'll send you some money." She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "I'm not talking about someday. I'm talking now, today." I blinked, not believing what I was hearing. "You want me to write you a check with money I haven't even received yet?" I asked. She didn't flinch. "No, I want you to grow up," she said. And then, the words that would change everything: "You're just a leech, Jenny, living off us, and it's gone on long enough." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I stared at her, speechless. She turned and walked out of the room, and a few minutes later, she came back with a duffel bag. She dropped it at my feet. "Go Leech somewhere else," she said. I didn't say a word. I just packed my things, zipped up the bag, and walked out the door. The sky was a clear blue, but it felt like a mockery. I got in my car and drove away, leaving behind the only home I had ever known. I spent the first few days at a friend's place, trying to figure out what to do next. I took on as many freelance projects as I could, working late into the night to make ends meet. And then, out of nowhere, I got a message on LinkedIn. A recruiter from a non-profit organization was interested in my portfolio. They were looking for a digital systems specialist, and they offered me a remote position with a decent salary and benefits. I interviewed for the job in my friend's living room, wearing a blazer over my sweatpants. 2 days later, I got the offer. It was a new beginning, a chance to start over. I signed a lease for a small studio apartment in Seattle, and I haven't looked back since. When my parents showed up at my door that Thursday, I was ready. They looked different, older, and more tired. My mother was holding her purse tightly, and my father was wearing a jacket that was too thin for the weather. "We need your help," my mother said, her voice soft and hesitant. I looked at her, remembering the words she had said to me. "3 weeks ago, you called me a leech and threw my bag at my feet," I said. "Now you need my help?" My father tried to explain. He said that Ryan had tried to help with the finances, but he had made things worse. They had missed the mortgage payment, and there were late fees. I already knew all of this. I had been monitoring their accounts, waiting for the moment when they would realize how much they needed me. I looked at my mother. She looked defeated, not angry. "That sounds awful," I said. "You must feel really stuck." She nodded, and then, in a whisper, she said, "I'm sorry." I believed her, but it was too late. I told them that I would help them fix the problems, but I wasn't going back. I spent 2 hours at my desk, walking them through the process of resetting their login credentials, verifying their identity, and relinking their tax software. I had to call tech support twice, but in the end, everything was back in order. When it was done, I leaned back and looked at them. "I'll send over a document outlining every step, and after that, I'm out," I said. "No more admin access, no more late-night calls, no more Jenny to the rescue." My father didn't argue. He just nodded slowly. They stood up, gathered their things, and left without a word. After the door closed behind them, I sat at my desk and deleted the last shared folder on my Google Drive. It was a symbolic gesture, a way of closing the door on the past. But the story didn't end there. A few days later, I started getting messages from my extended family. My aunt sent me a Facebook message, asking if I was okay. My cousin sent me a screenshot of a group chat where my mother had been complaining about me. And then, Ryan sent me an email, telling me to be more understanding and to forgive our parents. I didn't reply. I knew that they didn't understand. This wasn't about one fight or one word. It was about all the times I had been invisible, all the times my contributions had been taken for granted. A month later, I left Maine for good. I took the relocation bonus from my company and moved to Seattle. It's a new city, a new life, and I'm finally free. I volunteer at a local community center, teaching seniors how to use technology. I've made new friends, and I'm building a life that is truly mine. I don't need an apology from my parents. I just wonder if they ever realized how much I had done for them. And I wonder if anyone else has ever walked away from a toxic situation, only to find that the world is a much bigger and better place than they ever imagined.